so onto legs, a little powder. Pull out some sugar. The ankles tend to be pretty sensitive, so if you don't want to start on that really sensitive spot, you could start higher up on the leg. Try to now here I'm just seeing like 1 or 2 hairs, so I just kind of flip out a finger, but I'm still keeping the sugar in my palm. My hair is pretty grown in, so I would say it's close to a ½ inch long, which is definitely ideal. The sugar will work on shorter hairs, but if you do have time to grow it in or can tolerate it, you're going to get a lot better result. It's just easier to get more hair in one pass. Then when it's short, I feel like I have to go over and over and over, like just use that one finger thing. So I feel like I'm tweezing a lot of hairs, I guess, but not really tweezing it, but just using that one finger if the hairs are shorter. But when they're long like this, it just goes really nice. Now generally the hair does grow down, so that's why I'm going up on the hair and then flicking in the direction of hair growth with the hair. But you just kind of want to look at your own hair growth patterns. There are going to be parts on the legs where the hair grows sideways. And if it grows sideways, then just adjust the angle that you're putting the hair on. Or the hair on. The sugar. There's no real reason to be in a hurry with sugaring your legs. So try to give yourself, time that you're not going to feel rushed. I think in the evening is a good time when it's quiet in the house, hopefully, and not a lot of interruptions with phone calls and things like that. So you can really just be focused and take your time. You could even put some good music on, or maybe a TV series that you like to watch. If you don't get all your legs done in one session, that's okay too. Maybe you want to do like half your legs one day and then the other half another day, or just go until you kind of get tired, or because if you start getting frustrated or in a hurry, you're going to just get stuck more. It's not going to go as well. So you kind of want to have that Zen sort of vibe going on, just really relaxed and just taking your time. Now around the knees, you can see me pulling my skin up. Anytime that you're doing looser skin spots, you do want to try to pull that skin tight while you're applying, and definitely when you go to remove the sugar. If the sugar's not coming off, sometimes it's just that you're not holding the skin tight enough, so you can just kind of re-grip, re-pull it, and make sure you're pulling it tight from the edge that you're flicking the sugar from. because if I was pulling it tight from down here, it doesn't do as much good as holding it from the top, where I'm going to flick from. You can also use your the angles of your leg to tighten your skin, different spots. Like even on your knee, you can bend your knee up to get the top part of your knee. You can see how far one little blob of sugar can go though. I'm still using the same piece of sugar that I started with. And with waxing, a lot of times you don't want to go over the skin more than once because it just really gets pulled. Like when the wax pulls off the hair, it also pulls off a lot of the skin. But with sugar, it doesn't pull off the live skin so much. It does pull off some of the dead skin. If you do feel sensitive, you could always put a little bit more powder over the skin, and that'll give it that little extra protection. Now on knees, I find that just like when I used to shave my legs on knees, I would go up, down, right, left, angle, diagonal, every which way to get all those knee hairs, because it seems like they do kind of grow all different directions, and it's easy to miss some knee hair if you don't kind of try to go the different spots. Okay, let's see if I can still have you guys see what I'm doing. Okay, so now I've kind of done all the front of my legs. I'm just kind of touching up if I see any missed hairs. For the most part, all the hairs came off. This ball, you can see it's kind of wanting to get stuck a little bit, so that's a kind of a sign that I'm ready for a fresh ball. So to do that, I'm actually going to take off the glove. To put on a new glove, a lot of times I'll put some powder on my hand, and that just helps me get the next glove on without it. Okay. So now I'm going to go to the other leg. Just put a little bit of powder. The legs don't really require that much powder. I kind of keep my hand over the jar until all the stickies are off. To make it go faster, you don't have to pull the ball up in your hand and play with it. Just put it right back on the skin and go to your next piece. Like right here, sometimes people will like play with it, but you don't have to. Just put it down and go to your next section. That'll go a little faster. And it keeps the ball from getting too melty too, because if you play with it in your hand, sometimes that's when it starts to get more heat in it. So always just going up against the hair growth and then pulling with the hair growth. If you're having some struggles with it coming off, you can mold over the skin a little bit more times than just the 2 or 3 times. Or you can let it sit on the skin for a little bit. That gives the time for the lemon juice to seep down into those follicles, help relax that hair, so the hair just slips out a little bit easier. You should find that the sugaring pulls the hair out by the root and not just breaks it off. So that gives you a little bit longer time in between sugaring sessions. And sometimes will actually, for lack of a better word, kill the hair so it doesn't grow back anymore. But basically, when it gets pulled out by the root, it can damage the follicle so it can't grow hair anymore. And of course, the more you sugar, the more that's likely to happen. And kind of a benefit if you're trying to not have so much hair coming back. Doing the back of your legs is going to be a little tricky. I think that's kind of the easiest spot to miss hairs, even with shaving. But you can do some stuff by feel. If you can't see what you're doing, you can use your left hand to kind of feel where the hairs are, and then your right hand or your sugaring hand to sugar over that, even if you can't see what you're actually doing. So I'm trying to tilt my leg a little bit. So now I'm kind of doing the back of the calf. This is where sometimes on the upper part of your calf the hairs might grow sideways. So if they do, you're going to get better results by going sideways on that hair. Get a better angle here. Okay. If you feel the hair pulling as you're putting it on, just slow down, go a little bit slower. And a lot of times you'll feel the pulling right at the end when you're ready to kind of lift up off the sugar. But if you just slow down, you won't feel as much of that pulling. I like to mold at least 2 times, and a 3rd time if you're finding that the hair is just not coming that well after 2 passes. But that does help you get more hair in one pull than if you just mold 1 time. If you do see any blood from the follicle, usually that clears up right away. Now if you have diabetes or something like that, you might need to see if you ask your doctor if you can do sugaring or waxing or anything, because it is a contraindication if you have some forms of diabetes. But normally if there's a little blood coming out of a follicle, I don't really see that on legs so much. It's more on underarms and bikini. or even the brows, but if you do see that, it's not, I wouldn't think it's super uncommon. It's just that hair is so deep. Sometimes when it pulls out, it draws a little blood with it. As you sugar, like for me, it doesn't really hurt anymore when I'm doing my legs. It feels just like an exfoliation. So that is kind of a nice benefit to sugaring. This is a spot that you'll want to pull that skin tight, because right where it bends, the skin's a little bit looser there. So I'm trying to go sideways on these hairs. Let's see. Trying to get it where you guys can see, but I can see too. Like that. I do have some customers that sugar most of their legs at home, and then when they come in to get their bikini done, they'll just have me do the spots on their leg that was hard for them to reach. So that might be an option with your esthetician too. You can even bend the leg. Now, if you have dry knees, you do want to be a little careful. If you don't have hair on the dry spot, then just don't go over that dry patch. Just because the sugar does tend to really stick to dry skin. So if there is a dry patch on your elbows or your knees, and the sugar gets stuck, don't try to pull it off, because it might pull off the dead skin, and then you could end up bleeding, because it might pull off the actual skin. So in that case, just wash it off with water, like a wet washcloth, if you get it on the dry skin and it's not coming off, rather than trying to pull it off and pull it off and pull it off, and eventually it might just pull the skin off. Okay, so I'm just kind of, before I get to the top part of my leg, I'm going to go back to this leg, and there we go. There's still some hair kind of on the back part. So this blob of sugar for some reason is lasting a little bit longer. Maybe I got a little bit bigger piece, or I could have put a little more powder on. Maybe it's the powder. I don't know why. It just seems like it's going further. So again, these you just go every which way multiple times. If you have little pieces of sugar that like are there that you can get them off just by touching on them like that, pulling them off, or you can even use a little bit of water, and it'll wash off, especially if you're going to just jump in the shower after sugaring.